I'd also like to invite Barrister Farrukh Qureshi of Samdani and Qureshi and the MD of the ICADRP. Now, this is a mouthful, and I think we need to, I must take the occasion to spell it out. So this is the International Center for Appropriate Dispute Resolution and Prevention. This is an idea which Farrukh Saab and I had discussed many, many years ago. And it pleases me that through efforts, his efforts and his team's efforts, we're now beginning to see the emergence of this center. Farrukh Qureshi Saab has more than 30 years of legal practice. He qualified in 1981 as a barrister, moved to Pakistan, and has practiced here in various areas of the law. But I think where he has made his mark is in international arbitration. And while one gets very despondent about the number of cases Pakistan keeps on losing in international tribunals, I'm very happy to see that, Farrukh, you have made a difference, that we've actually won a couple thanks to you. So, Farrukh, thank you for being here. Next, I'd like to invite our other sponsor for the event today. Safer Communities Foundation was founded by Dr. Shuaib Sadal, who you are all very familiar with, I'm sure. He is an outstanding police officer. He's made his mark in his field. He is internationally very well respected. He is visiting expert at the United Nations Asia Far East Institute on Crime Prevention and Treatment of Offenders in Tokyo. He is sought after for his advice by various countries, including the Turkish National Police, and he is a resource person with several international organizations, including the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in Vienna. He has headed the IB, the Intelligence Bureau in Pakistan. He has served as IG of two provinces, Balochistan and Sindh. And he, for me, the most significant contribution has perhaps been his contribution to police reform and the police order, which of course now has been very much amended, but that's a story we can take up some other time. Shuaib Saab, if I can kindly request you to please join us. We will also shortly have on the screen Judge Charles N. Bauer joining us, so we'll wait for that. I'll introduce him at that time. But if we can kick off the proceedings, Farrukh Qureshi Saab, if I can ask you to please say a few words. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Honorable Chief Justice, Islamabad High Court, Justice Athar Minallah Sahib, Honorable Judges, lawyers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the International Center for Appropriate Dispute Resolution and Prevention, short form ICADRP, Safer Communities Foundation, and the law firm of Samdani and Qureshi, it is a real pleasure and a privilege for me to extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you to this international conference, which will focus on ADR as the way forward for ensuring expeditious and cost-effective dispensation of justice. When we talk about ADR, we think of ADR as encompassing a range of processes and techniques for resolving disputes, such as negotiation and mediation techniques, in contrast to the traditional norms, forms of arbitration and court-based adjudication. In arbitration, there is a final and binding award, whether the parties consent to it or not. But in other forms of ADR, there would be no finality except with the consent of the parties. Therefore, ADR empowers individuals to make their own decisions. In many countries, negotiation and mediation, as well as other innovative forms of ADR, have become the first choice of disputants, lawyers, and judges for resolution of disputes. As a matter of fact, in many civil justice systems, ADR has become the primary form of dispute resolution, bringing with it the winds of change some 30 years ago in many countries. Countries that recognize the benefits of ADR are now able to boast that a comparatively small proportion of cases are resolved by the traditional court-based adjudication. For example, in just 3 to 4 years, approximately 3 million cases were settled through ADR in Turkey. Perhaps the most well-known reforms increasing the use of ADR are the Wolf reforms in the United Kingdom. These reforms introduced changes to civil procedure that promote settlement and have resulted in a positive change in civil litigation. The result has been a dramatic increase in early settlements and use of ADR processes, thus not only reducing the burden on courts, but also empowering the disputants. Like many other countries, there is growing recognition in Pakistan of the benefits of ADR processes. Measures have been introduced to encourage its use in appropriate circumstances. I'm sure you will be all familiar with the ADR Act of 2017 and the rules made under that act. I can say with confidence that the entire Islamabad High Court, under the able leadership of its Chief Justice, recognizes the importance of ADR for expeditious dispensation of justice. This recognition in itself confirms that a one-track manner of resolving disputes, that is through court-based adjudication, cannot deal with the problems confronting us today as individuals and communities. Court pendency and delays are real issues that can undermine legitimacy of the judicial system. With the enabling legislation for Islamabad in place, we are all presented with a historic opportunity to take the lead in the country and demonstrate that ADR can be a solution to delays in our courts. Under the leadership of His Lordship, the Chief Justice of Islamabad High Court, I hope that we can tread along this path soonest and emerge as a model for the rest of the country. This conference has been made possible by Nudrat Piracha's commitments and faith in ADR as the way forward. She has worked very hard. She has worked very hard to bring together a panel of speakers who are the cream of the crop in their respective fields. A very special thank you, Dr. Piracha. I would also like to thank the many distinguished speakers who have so generously volunteered their time for this event. And I very much hope that this conference will play its role in changing the face of dispute resolution in Pakistan. And I thank all of you for being a part of this journey. Once again, a very warm welcome, and I'm sure the sessions that will follow will be extremely interesting, interactive, and will provide great food for thought as we tread on this path of attempting to bring about a revolution within our system so that ADR can play the role that it is playing in many other countries where, for example, in a country like New Zealand, only about 1/3 of the cases are now going before the traditional courts. All the others are being settled through ADR. So thank you very much for coming, and I'll hand over to Hamid. Thank you.